Pussers rum is synonymous with the Painkiller. Some of that is due to branding and decades of marketing, but due to litigation as well, and more importantly, trademarking the name of a cocktail, a relatively basic cocktail, and one that they had no part in creating. The Painkiller tends to be everyone's favorite and the most famous tiki cocktail that is not a real tiki cocktail. It's a tropical drink created in the Caribbean using the template of the pina colada, which is also not tiki. And you take a pretty basic pina colada and then you add orange juice and you got yourself a Painkiller. Now, no matter your feelings, whether you love it, hate it, or are indifferent, it's not a revolutionary drink. So how is a company even allowed to trademark a cocktail that is just a list of ingredients that we all have access to? Well, you can't. You can't trademark the cocktail, but you can trademark the name and then regulate the ingredients that need to be used in it. So while legally I may not be able to call this version without Pussers rum a Painkiller or use the name for commercial purposes, this here is for editorial purposes only. And this cocktail, the one with the Cruzan rum, is the historically accurate original Painkiller. The original drink is often credited to Daphne Henderson from the Soggy Dollar Bar in Jost Van Dyke, which is an island in the British Virgin Islands. It's a bar on an island with no dock. You had to swim ashore, hence the name Soggy Dollar. An interview done by Matt Petrick from Cocktail Wonk with the creator of Pussers rum, that's Charles Tobias, gives the account for how he came across the cocktail. I'll include links in the episode's description to that article if you want to check out the full interview. Now to summarize, and this is my summary, the owner of Pussers came across the Soggy Dollar Bar and ordered the Painkiller because it was already there. There was already a drink called the Painkiller. He liked it. He took the drink to go, which means he swam back to his boat with the drink and began to work on perfecting this incredibly basic cocktail to his own preferences, and honestly didn't really end up changing it much. Later, he came back to the bar and told Daphne that he was going to trademark this. She said it was okay as long as she got some credit. Now, I'm not an expert in ethics, but I don't think that's how things should work. Taking someone else's creation, one that has been established for years, almost a decade, and then taking it for yourself. Not just a recipe, but the name as well. Pussers did not even come up with the name of the Painkiller. Pussers goes deeper into the lore on the creation of this drink by saying that Charles Tobias came back to the Soggy Dollar Bar with his recipe in hand and challenged Daphne Henderson to see whose drink was best. A $100 wager with his Painkiller against the original Painkiller that would be served to 10 different patrons. And what do you know? The Pussers created Painkiller won 10 out of 10 taste test. And who of us has not done that ourselves? Go to a bar, you have a drink, take that drink home with you, recreate it, then you go back to that bar to challenge the owner or the bartender because you know better. There is nothing unusual about that story at all. In the past, Pussers did credit Daphne Henderson, but what if Daphne didn't really care about credit, or if someone trademarked that drink because maybe she didn't create the drink? Another account, which is outlined in the Tropical Standard book by Ben Schaefer and Garrett Richard, points to the original owners of the Soggy Dollar Bar, George and Marie Myrick, as creating the drink for the opening of the Soggy Dollar Bar in 1971. Now, they built the Soggy Dollar Bar. That account is sourced directly from George Myrick's memoir in 2008. And according to the Myricks, they spent a lot of time developing the drink and named it after the noni plant, which is a common plant in the Caribbean that is nicknamed the Painkiller. Now, pulling from that memoir is a pretty deep cut, and I reached out to Ben, 6 months to a year ago, and he did read it. He knew someone that had a copy or got himself access to a copy of the memoir, and that's where it says that the Painkiller came from, that they created it in 1971. Now, Daphne Henderson did not purchase the bar until 1979, so the Painkiller had been a staple there for about 9 years before the Myricks sold the property, and Pussers did not register the trademark until 1989. That's 18 years of the drink being served at the Soggy Dollar Bar before being trademarked by someone on the outside. Now, I started the idea of this Painkiller video more than a year ago, but it felt too negative. I've been looking for reasons to go a little easier on Pussers rum because this is not some mega multinational conglomerate brand, and as a business, they do need to protect their interest or intellectual property at least, but that origin story or stories, they just make it worse. It's so arrogant. Every time you want to give them a little leeway, there's a wrinkle to that story that just makes it worse. And the story is being sourced from Pussers. It's just like they don't get it. And as many of you know, The story continues when a bar in New York City opens that happens to have the same name as a drink, and they get sued by Pussers in 2011. It's settled out of court, and the bar changes the name from the Painkiller to the PKNY. But to play devil's advocate just for a minute, there's potentially a couple of solid reasons why a brand may need to litigate or at least correct the actions of those that go against their trademark. First, let's hear from Malcolm Gosling, who was quoted in Wine Enthusiast last year. The trademark not only protects the integrity of the cocktail, it protects the consumer by ensuring they are actually getting a dark and stormy. Because Gosling's has somehow trademarked rum and ginger beer. How original. They forgot the lime, but that's on them. So protecting customers, it's an interesting take. It's bullshit, but it's interesting. But maybe some validity because I know what is legally required to be in a dark and stormy, which is why I would never order one. See, that's also just pure stubbornness from me, and I can't escape it. However, there is a more ironclad reason to protect a trademark and go after anyone who infringes on it. And that's because for a trademark to be valid, it must be protected. By not protecting your trademark, you run the risk of losing it, and it doesn't just become like public domain to anyone to use. Someone else can then try to secure the trademark themselves. The problem, truthfully, is that you are allowed to trademark a cocktail in the first place. A new idea, something groundbreaking and original, I don't know, maybe that would be okay, but something extremely general that you had no part in creating just seems wrong to me at least. But it's important to remember that pretty much all cocktail origin stories should be taken with a grain of salt. I tend to believe no one. And when I follow along an origin story, I'm open to the idea that it could be incorrect. I mean, take some of the biggest figures in the tropical and tiki world, and you'll find that many of their cocktail origin stories are contradicted by themselves. After all, if you go to the Soggy Dollar Bar's website, they even say home of the original Painkiller since about 1970. So which Painkiller is better? Currently, the Soggy Dollar Bar calls for their own brand of dark rum, but the original was Cruzan or Mount Gay Gold. Or is the best Painkiller the Painkiller using Pussers rum? Now I'm trying to help out the little guy here by getting the most expensive Cruzan rum I can get my hands on, the Cruzan Single Barrel Premium Extra Age Rum, and it comes in at $28. In addition to the rums, you'll need orange juice, pineapple juice, and cream of coconut. The recipes are different, and I found what I think is the original Soggy Dollar Bar version, but their recipe is not out there for everyone to just find as prevalent as Pusser's version is. I mean, they even print it right on the cup. So let's get going, and we're gonna make both Painkillers. For the Soggy Dollar Bar version, you're gonna start with 2 ounces of orange juice, 1 ounce of cream of coconut, 1 ounce of pineapple juice, and 2 ounces of Cruzan rum. Garnish with a slice of orange and some nutmeg. For the Pussers Painkiller TM recipe, start with 4 ounces of pineapple juice, 1 ounce of cream of coconut, 1 ounce of orange juice, and 2 ounces of Pussers rum. Garnish with a slice of orange, a cherry, and some nutmeg. So there you go. 2 versions of the Painkiller. All right, let's start with the original. It's creamy, it's orangey, and more so than any other cocktail that tries to make an Orange Julius, even by using vanilla. This tastes more like an Orange Julius than any of those. The rum is not super forward, and the pineapple juice is not either. It's really a creamy orange drink with like hints of rum. All right, the Pussers. All right, so I just spent a bunch of time bashing Pussers, and obviously there's some bias involved here, but part of the reason to make this video is like to move on from that, kind of like get that off my chest, just say it's out there. I don't really care that deeply about it. I was anticipating that the Pussers would be better, and to me, taste test, 10 out of 10 people came here to drink these. This one, I think, firmly better. And when you look at the recipes, it's just there's way more juice in the Pussers 4:1:1 ratio here, and that pineapple juice, like it's not even that much of a pineapple. It's just like everything is a little bit muddied. Now the rum flavor, that sort of dark rum flavor, that Pussers rum flavor, that hints of the Demerara rum, that comes through more. So it's not really the rum. I mean, we could take both these rums out of the equation here. I mean, if you look at the original, you have 4 ounces of stuff besides the rum, and the other one you have 6 ounces. So there's just a lot more going on in the Pussers rum. Now Pussers puts on here, if you go to menus, you'll see you can get it with like 2, 3, or 4 ounces of rum. Is that going to yeah, that's going to change the drink, obviously. But I like the flavor of this better. And I know a lot of people don't like orange juice in cocktails. I can understand if your preference is not orange juice, but orange juice and pineapple juice, they're not too far off from each other in terms of acidity. Obviously, pineapple juice, you're getting more texture and foaming from that, but they're both juices. They're both providing sweetness and that flavor of juice. And I just happen to really like the combination of coconut cream and the orange juice and the rum in this one compared to like an overwhelming pineapple juice. Really, probably not getting much orange juice. This is a great example of one of those cocktails that, what is orange juice really doing? Because the flavor's not strong enough to hold up against the pineapple juice and the cream of coconut with just 1 ounce. To be clear, Pusser's version, it's not bad. It's still good. I think there's a little more complexity to it as well because of the rum, because you're getting a more flavorful and really just a more complex rum. But I just like this one better. And I'm not trying to say that Cruzan single barrel extra age premium whatever is better than Pussers. It's just in these cocktails, I think the template of this Painkiller is more preferable to me than the template of this one. It's not about the rum. It's not about bagging on Pussers even more. I'm over that. Moving on. I just think that this Painkiller is better. But it's a fun experiment, easy cocktails to make, so you should try both of these at home and then let me know in the comments below if you like this one or this one better. All right, so that's it for this one. That was the Painkiller, the original versus the legally mandated to make Painkiller. But I'm not done with the Painkiller. There are at least a few really good variations to the Painkiller, some that are a little easier, some that are a little more complex. I'll come back and do that soon, and we'll do a couple modern takes on the Painkiller. So if you enjoyed this video, please give it a like below, consider subscribing to the channel, and otherwise, see you on the next one.